What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to talk about two players that I think the Atlanta Falcons should seriously consider drafting with the number 16 pick, our first round draft pick. But as always, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. I appreciate every single one of you guys who continue to view the channel, who's recently subscribed to the channel. I thank you guys for all the support. Definitely share this out to all of your Falcons fan pages on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you do your social media. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. But as always, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So it's two players that I think the Falcons should think about drafting with that number 16 pick. I haven't seen these guys on any mock drafts being drafted by the Falcons at number 16. But in the case that K'Lavon Chaisson isn't available at 16, or Chase Young, or all of those players that are being mocked to us, in case those guys are not available, you guys know how I feel about AJ Espinoza. I don't want us to draft AJ Espinoza at all. But as far as K'Lavon Chaisson, y'all know that that's like the number one guy I have on my draft board, other than like a Chase Young as far as an edge rusher. But we all know that Chase Young is going to be probably top 3 pick. So I kind of don't even really have him there. I definitely don't see him falling to 16. And I really don't think that the Atlanta Falcons should move up and try to grab Chase Young, because it's going to be too many picks to try to pick him up. But with that being said, I'm going to talk about two different players. The first player that I think the Falcons should really consider, if none of those guys that I mentioned are available at 16, meaning they get drafted earlier, I would suggest the Atlanta Falcons drafting Terrell Lewis out of the University of Alabama. He's a defensive end / outside linebacker and plays that edge position. He goes about 6'5", 255 pounds. So I definitely think that that's a player that the Atlanta Falcons should consider drafting at 16 if K'Lavon Chaisson isn't there, or if Derek Brown or Chase Young, if all of those players are going at that point. I think that he's the best edge rusher left. And I definitely would consider bringing in Terrell Lewis. Like I said, he has the size. I love his size at 6'5". I love his arm length. He has big hands, and he's a dog. He's very good in playing the run, setting the edge. For all of those people that don't believe in K'Lavon Chaisson being a big enough player, Terrell Lewis will be the next player I will point you toward. If you might like him, I would definitely suggest going and view his tape, like on YouTube or his highlights. This dude is a monster. Like I said, very big, agile, can run sideline to sideline like a K'Lavon Chaisson. He's not as fast as K'Lavon Chaisson, because K'Lavon Chaisson has that quick twitch and is a lot faster sideline to sideline. But this dude does have speed where he can track down a mobile quarterback, and he can cut off the edge for a running back and force them back to the inside. So he's a very good player. Another thing that I noticed about him when I was viewing his tape, Alabama actually played him at the 3 technique on passing down sometimes, like on 3rd and longs and stuff like that. And he was successful in getting to the passer with using spin moves, using the power rush. So he is a very strong player, can bull rush and can speed rush, and he's very versatile. He is a player that you can stand up on the end of the line and bring pressure off the edge. And he also can get down in that 3-point stance like a traditional defensive end and bring that pressure off the edge. But as you know, Dan Quinn talked about it at the Combine, that he looks for players that's explosive, that's athletic. And this dude is very explosive, athletic. He did go down to the Senior Bowl and was out there doing the one-on-one drills and stuff like that. And he looked really good. And from his tape that I seen, I was very, very impressed with his game, his aggressiveness. The only thing that I could say from watching his tape that was like a knock on him, and why I like K'Lavon Chaisson a little bit better than the Terrell Lewis, is to me Terrell Lewis doesn't play, his motor isn't as hot, or he doesn't play with the high motor like K'Lavon Chaisson. To me, K'Lavon Chaisson, I seen him on his tape chasing down running backs from the back end, also running down the field and making plays. And Kayvon Chason, I think, is a little bit more versatile as far as playing the linebacker position or that hybrid position where you can drop him off the line like a Vic Beasley. I'm not too sure if Terrell Lewis has that same ability as far as being like a linebacker and being able to drop into coverage. I think he can like drop into the flats, but I'm talking about if he had to drop into the middle of the field, I'm not too sure if he's as athletic than a Kayvon Chason. So I definitely suggest you go take a look at Terrell Lewis. This dude is a beast. I really like what I've seen out of him, and I definitely would consider him at 16. I've been seeing a lot of different things about the Falcons possibly taking a defensive back or taking the best available linebacker or taking the best available safety. I definitely wouldn't draft any other position but defensive line with that 16th pick, either a defensive end or edge rusher or a nose tackle. I wouldn't bring in a number one, like with that number one pick, I wouldn't bring in a defensive back because there's a lot of defensive backs in this draft that you can get later on in the draft. Same thing with running back. I wouldn't take a running back early in this draft because it's a number of guys that you can get later on, unless you just fall in love with DeAndre Swift and the Falcons take him at 16. I really wouldn't reach for a running back or a cornerback because it's a ton of those guys at those positions later on in the draft. Now, the next player that I'm going to talk about is Raekwon Davis, and he's also played at Alabama. So it's just a coincidence that both of them played at Alabama. But Raekwon Davis, it goes to 6'7", 312 pounds. He's that big hippo or that big trash can full of dirt I was talking about in my last video that we need with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, one thing that I also love when I seen Raekwon Davis's tape is he's not the traditional nose tackle. He's very big, but he also can move his feet like a big dancing bear. He can move his feet. He can get after mobile quarterbacks. He can run. For a big guy, he moves very, very well laterally. And that's something that I think the Falcons should really consider. I haven't heard his name. I heard a lot of people talking about, like it was an article written, I believe, by the AJC, talking about Ross Blacklock, who's the guy I had us drafting, I think, in the 3rd round in my mock draft. But I think this guy's a little bit bigger than Ross Blacklock. And I feel like I wouldn't reach for a Ross Blacklock with the first, with that 16th pick. But I would definitely take a Raekwon Davis at that 16th pick. To me, I think he's the second best nose tackle in the draft after Auburn's Derek Brown, who I love. If you didn't know, I am an Auburn Tigers fan in college football, so I've watched pretty much Derek Brown's whole career, and he's definitely a game changer. But of course, we know he's going to be gone by the time we draft. Now, if Derek Brown isn't drafted by like the 10th overall pick or something like that, then I could see the Falcons possibly moving up, or I would be down for the Falcons possibly moving up to try to get a Derek Brown if he's still around come like pick 10 or something where it's not going to cost us too much to get a Derek Brown. But I would almost do anything to have a Derek Brown on our team. You know how I feel about those big guys in the middle, but this video is about Raekwon Davis. I definitely see Raekwon Davis being that guy that could come in if we wouldn't have to move up. I feel like he probably will be there at 16. And he possibly will be there early in the 2nd round, possibly. But one thing that you got to know in these drafts about big players like the upper echelon defensive ends and defensive tackles, they don't last long. And that was my biggest issue with the Atlanta Falcons drafting Calvin Ridley. I think it was in 2017, was that the big guys, meaning like the great offensive linemen and the great nose tackles and great edge rushers, they don't last long in the NFL draft. Usually those are the top picks on most teams' drafts because they're hard to come by. So I feel like in the last couple years, the Falcons haven't done a good job, or over the years, the last couple years, Thomas Dimitroff hasn't done a good job of going in and bringing in talent at the defensive end role or at the nose tackle role. And that's why right now at this point, our team is so depleted on the defensive line. Like, yeah, we did bring in Tat McKinley, and yeah, we did bring in Vic Beasley back in 2015. But I don't think in 2018, 2019, we didn't do a good job of bringing in players that could possibly be starters, and we didn't do a good job of developing guys to be ready. So right now, we're really we're behind the eight ball when it comes to having guys on the defensive line, because I don't trust John Kaminsky. I don't trust Tat McKinley. And we basically just lost our top pass rusher, which they said they're not re-signing, in Vic Beasley. And a lot of the guys that are proven, like Adrian Claiborne, he's a free agent. So the only guy that I really trust on our defensive line at this point is Grady Jarrett. So he severely needs help on the defensive line. And at 16 and with the second round pick, I would select a defensive tackle and a defensive end, or maybe double dip with edge rushers with the first two picks. I want two with the first pick and first round pick and the second round pick. That second round pick. Excuse me. I want two defensive line players. Don't matter if it's defensive end and defensive tackle, but I want multiple defenders with those first two picks. And I want the first maybe 3 rounds to be all defense, because our defense, we really have to bulk up this defense. We really have to bolster this defense because there's a lot of holes we got to fill on the defense. To me, the offense is fine the way it is. If we can bring in a running back later on in the draft, like a Zach Moss or something like that, I'm cool with that. But with this number 16 pick and with those top the round 2 top picks, I want defensive players. In my mock draft, I did have us taking AJ Terrell, I think, with the second round pick, which I'm fine with that. But we must bring in, like I said, help at the defensive spots. But if we bring in, like I was saying, a Raekwon Davis, he's definitely someone that could pair right next to Grady Jarrett, can bring pressure from the middle, is very athletic, so also can run those stunts that we like to run where we're twisting and things of that nature. I love what Raekwon Davis brings to the table. Alabama is one of those teams that runs those twist stunts. If you go watch the tape of both of these guys that I'm mentioning from Alabama, Terrell Lewis and Raekwon Davis, both of those guys were doing those twist stunts. They're very explosive off the ball. Raekwon Davis, for a big guy, like I said, moves his feet very well, can stop the run, and also can penetrate and get after the passer. So I definitely would be interested in both of these players at the number 16 spot. I'll be fine with us taking either one of these guys, but I don't want to see, like I said, any other needs addressed until we address the defensive line. That must be our first, that number 16. I don't want to see us moving back in the draft, and I don't want to see us taking like a secondary player or something like that. We don't need anybody else in the secondary with the first round pick. We can bring in some secondary help later on in the draft, but with that first pick, I want us taking a defensive lineman. It has to be a defensive lineman, and it's going to have to be the best player available. So if you want to know, like, personally who I have, like I said, my draft board, I have first Chase Young, and that's pretty much, he's like number 1 on everybody's draft board. 2, Derek Brown. 3. And this is just for our Atlanta Falcons. Pick 3, Kayvon Chaisson. 4, Terrell Lewis. 5, Raekwon Davis. So those are like the way I have it numbered. Like I said, I'm not an AJ Espinoza fan at all for the Atlanta Falcons. To me, he just doesn't fit our defense. He's not athletic enough. And basically, he's like a 3-tech, just playing outside, because he doesn't have any quick twitch about him, and that's why he didn't test well at the draft. I knew he wasn't going to, or not at the draft, but at the NFL Combine, and I knew he wasn't going to test well at the Combine because when you watch his tape at Iowa, he's not explosive and he's not athletic. You can see that in his tape with Iowa. He's very slow. He has a lot of power. He's very strong, and if we were just looking for a 3-tech, he definitely can be a player you can put inside, and he'll be a little bit quicker as a 3-tech. And he's long at 6'6", 280. And I would like him at a 3-tech. He'll be a decent 3-tech. But other than that, I don't think that he fits our defense at all. I could see AJ Espinoza going to like the Patriots or something like that, because he kind of fits the mold of what the Patriots like. The Patriots love those big, slow defensive linemen that are physical at the point of attack, and I can see him fitting right in with like a New England, but he doesn't fit our Atlanta Falcons with fast and physical. But the 2 guys that I mentioned, Raekwon Davis and Terrell Lewis, both of those guys fit that mold. Kayvon Chason, he's another guy, of course, fits that athletic mode and can, play the run and can play multiple positions. Later on, I'm gonna do or not later on, but later on this week, I'm gonna do a video about Zach. I think his name is Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. He's another guy that I would like the Falcons to possibly draft. Not with the 16th pick, but I can see him being like a second rounder. We can probably bring him in with the second round. He puts me in the mind of a TJ Watt, very wiry, and he's very aggressive as well and can do a lot of things, a lot of different things like a Kayvon Chason. And he's another player that's that Swiss Army knife. And I can definitely see us bringing him in as well. But I'll do a video on him later on in the week where I'll talk about him because he's not necessarily an edge rusher. He's a linebacker hybrid. So with that being said, you guys tell me what you think below about the two players that I mentioned. Go watch the tapes, please, of Terrell Lewis, Raekwon Davis. Tell me what you think about these guys. Leave your comments below. I'll be happy to answer any question that you may have about our Atlanta Falcons and where we may be going. Also, really quick, before I get off the video, just want to talk a little bit about who we may bring in with the free agency or who I would like us to bring in. Personally, I would like to see us bring in, if we can, I would love to see us bring in a Dante Fowler. And this is if the CBA is finally signed. I would love to see us bring in Dante Fowler Jr. if we can, or a Robert Quinn. Those are the two guys that I'm really looking forward to us possibly bringing in free agency. Another guy that is not getting a lot of notoriety in free agency that I can see the Falcons bringing in, he could be an excellent vet to bring in, and I know he's a dog, is JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul. He still has some juice in the tank. He was playing with Tampa last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I can see us bringing him in because we probably can bring him in on a discount. He's not going to be one of the higher paid edge rushers. And I definitely think that he could come in and help our Atlanta Falcons get after the passer. So those are the top three guys that I would like to see the Atlanta Falcons possibly bring in. But with that being said, this being your boy Jew. Like I said, leave your comments below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And I'll holler at you guys in the next video. And as always, Falcons Nation, rise up. I'll holler at you guys. Peace.